Okay, so our next step now is we've read our passage, and that's what's going to happen in I read. Now we've got to answer questions. So get on your questions, but do me a favor. I'm going to give you a card, and I want you to cover up the answers. Don't look at the answers. Don't look at the answers. Are we on number 9?
Yes.
Okay. Don't look at those answers. So now what I want you to do is read the question. Read the question to yourself. Now, don't look at the answers. Can anybody answer that? What are you thinking? Okay, she thinks to the forest.
To the beach.
You think to the beach. You got an idea?
I agree, Addison.
All right, we're not going to look at the answers. Let's go in the passage now, and let's get some evidence. Where did they go? We have the forest and we have the beach. Where did they go? I want to see some good evidence. What did you read that told you or made you think it was the forest or made you think it was the beach? What do you think, Sequoia?
I think it was.
So now you're changing your mind. What did you see in the passage that made you think it was the beach? And Sequoia changed her mind, and Benny thinks. What did you see? Read it, Sequoia.
It said after our airplane ride, we drove to our house by the ocean.
What did you see, Addison?
It said the ocean is near the house.
Okay. Another piece of evidence. Did you see anything different, Benny?
Well,
Hey.
yeah.
Yeah, good, because I thought maybe you were hanging back. Don't let these girls get all the answers out. Come on. Come on, what'd you get?
The ocean is near the house where we'll play in the sand every day.
Okay, this is where you're going to get your highlighter. And I want you to highlight that evidence. I heard somebody say after our airplane ride, we drove to it's a highlighter too.
Yeah.
After our airplane ride, we drove to a house by the ocean. Highlight that sentence. Right now. Quick. And when we highlight, we just go across with that highlighter. Do we do this?
No.
We're not coloring. All right, what's the other one? What was our other evidence that we found? What, Sequoia?
It said
Come on.
was near our house.
The ocean is near the house. Highlight it. There was something else that made us think that they went to the beach. Benny?
We'll play in the sand every day.
Highlight it. Okay, go back and read your question. Read number 9. Leave your answers covered, right here.
Oh.
Read your question. What's our question asking us, Addison?
Where does Mike go on their trip?
Where does Mike's family go on their trip? What do you all think?
To the beach.
Okay, open up your questions and see if you can find the answer. Yeah, use your pencil. We're not going to highlight because we have to use pencils with our tests. Okay?
Is this how it's going to look like?
Very similar, Sequoia. Were you worried? I tell you, if you listen to this lady, after she listens to me, you're going to get it. Feeling good?
Fourth grade because we're going.
Okay, no, that would be scary. Okay, number 10. Cover up your answers. Cover up your answers. Got it? Read your question. Everybody's going to read their question. Read their question. This one's a little tricky. What makes it tricky? What makes it tricky? What?
They said what 2 ways to
Ah.
travel to the beach.
So this one, we're not just finding one way. You have to find 2 ways. Does anybody know the 2 ways right away? What do you think, it's Sequoia?
Forest and the beach.
Forest and the beach. What do you think?
The airplane in the car.
Airplane in the car. What are you thinking?
I agree.
We're going to have to get on. You can't quit agreeing. You got to jump in. All right. Forest and the beach. Read your question, Sequoia, out loud.
Right here.
Yep, number 10.
What 2 ways does Mike's family travel on the trip?
2 ways do they travel? You said the forest and the beach. Are they asking where they're? Oh, here's a trick. Here's a trick. She's not reading the question right. That's what kids do. Sequoia, I'm glad you did that. You did that on purpose, didn't you? That's what kids do. They don't read the question right. So then they go and look for an answer to that question. You would have been looking for the forest and the beach. And guess what would happen with number 10? It would have been what? It would have been wrong. So that's something right now, everybody. Let's stop and think. When we read a question, we have to make sure that we're understanding what the question asks. So maybe we need to read it, maybe not just one time, but maybe read it 2 times. And think about it. And maybe ask ourselves, what's this asking me? Before I go to my answers, what's this asking me? And now I think Sequoia gets it. They're not asking where they went. They're asking 2 ways how they got there, right? 2 ways did they travel on the trip. So, can we go in our passage? Don't look at your answers yet. Let's go in our passage and get some evidence. Where's the evidence that shows how they got to where they were going on their trip? Come on, Benny. You get the answers first. Let's go. How did they travel on their trip?
So do we mark the whole sentence?
I think, do we need to write the whole sentence or do we need to get some words? Just some words. Go ahead and you can use your highlighter. How did they go? Let's see if we can find it. Anybody seeing anything?
I'm seeing one. Oh, I found this.
How many ways do we have to find?
2.
2, because some kids just want to find one.
Just the word?
Just the word. So what'd you find? What's your evidence?
Airplane and cars.
He said airplane and cars. What'd you say, Addison?
Airplane and drove.
Drove, which gives you an idea of cars. What'd you
Or
get?
truck.
All right. Okay, read your question and make sure that this is the route we're going. This is what we're supposed to be thinking about. Read your question number 10. All right, let's open up our cards. They drive in a car and then swim.
No.
Why is that not right?
Because
Did they
don't-
wait a minute, they swam. They swam in the
No,
ocean.
but it says they will. They said they will swim when it said,
Go back to the question, Sequoia. What is the question asking us? Did it ask us what did they do on the
it says Mike's gonna-
2 ways they travel? So drive in a car and then swim.
No.
They did that, but is that the answer in the question?
They had to-
Guess what? It's not that they're trying to trick you. They're trying to see if you're paying attention and finding out the information you're supposed to be finding out. Did you pay attention as you read? Did you pay attention to what the question was asking? It's not that they're trying to trick you. They're trying to see what you know. So if you said they drive in a car and then swim, does that tell you what? Does that show us that you know what you're doing? Answering the question, what 2 ways does Mike's family travel on their
That's
trip?
what they did when they got
Okay, they fly on an airplane and walk. They flew on an airplane.
Yeah, but they didn't walk. They walked.
Did it talk anywhere? Do you think they did have to walk?
They did.
They did?
They didn't say.
How'd they get off the airplane
They
and
had
get to their car?
walk off and-
All right, so that's true. They fly on an airplane and they walk. It says travel on their trip. They fly on an airplane and drive in a car.
Yeah.
Okay, good job. Number 11, put your card over your answers. Look at this. We know these answers before they do, don't we? Read your question.
At the top, write CR, CL,
Miss Nance, what time is this group over?
10 after, but that clock is wrong. It's 5 after right now.
It's 1:05. Oh, okay. I just want to make sure I'm doing it in the time. Friends. Okay. All right, so did you read it?
And I didn't complete it all.
What is this question asking?
Give you a word, you have to decide it. Start
What's it asking, Benny?
Or,
Which
hold
was
on,
best?
here we go.
Describe Travis and Mike.
Okay, first of all, if you're reading the question and you don't know who Travis and Mike are you going to have an easy time to answer? Who's Travis and Mike? Who's Travis?
A friend of Mike.
Okay, who's Mike?
Mike is
My daughter
was
put in a great.
to his friend.
Okay, I did this last year with a bunch of kids, and they were confused. They didn't know who Mike was. They didn't know who Travis was. They didn't know who was writing the letter. They were so confused. So how do you know who Travis is? How do you know that? Looking at this, how do you know who Travis is, Addison?
The title is A Letter to My Friend.
Next one.
That doesn't tell us.
Dear Travis.
Dear Travis. So who's a letter to a friend? Who's the friend?
Dear Travis.
Be careful. Travis. Did Travis go on the trip? Okay. Who went on the trip?
Mike.
So Mike went on the trip, and then what did he do, Benny?
He wrote a note to Travis.
When he's answering, you pay attention.
Flat.
When he's answering, pay attention. Some kids do this.
Flat.
When other kids are talking, pay attention to what he's saying, because if he doesn't have it right, we're not gonna yell at him. We're not gonna call him names, but we're gonna go, oh, wait a minute, Benny, I think you're confused. First of all, say that answer again, and you guys listen to his answer. Say it again. What was my question? What was my question?
What did Mike do?
Oh,
Okay,
what was my question?
read our words.
Writing.
Down, starting with CR.
Number 11, isn't it? You need
How
to,
did you know that Travis?
yes, number 11. You're on number 11.
You are reading
Okay.
words with me.
Do
Ready?
you remember that question? Sorry, I get my brain all
But I
out.
remember
So you know how I'm gonna do on the iRate test if I had to take it. Not so good, huh? So what was my question, Benny?
He remembers his answer.
Do you remember the answer? What was the answer?
Now we don't need to
That might help.
Mike,
stop the first time.
Travis, Mike wrote the note to Travis.
So Mike wrote a note to Travis. Oh, that was my question. Why did Mike write this letter? Why did he write the letter to a friend? Didn't we wonder that at the beginning? Why did he write, Sequoia?
He wrote it because he wanted Mike to go on the trip.
Who
with
wrote the
his
letter?
family. I meant he wanted Travis to go on the trip with Mike's family, with Mike and his family. Because he said it would be very, very fun if you came with.
Did that say that in the,
Well, he said
did
it
that
would
say
be
that in the
fun.
letter?
No, he was saying.
Did it say he wanted him to go? Let's talk about this. Is that why he wrote the letter to Travis?
No,
Because he
missed
wanted,
him.
okay.
That's what it says. He was.
Well, let's think about this. Why did Mike write this letter to Travis? Did he write it because he wanted him to come with him because he thought it would be fun? Did he write it because he wanted to tell him he missed him? What was this whole letter about? What was the whole letter, Addison? We're losing you. What was the whole letter about?
About telling Travis about Mike's trip.
What do you think? So let's see. Here's some of our choices. He wanted to he wanted Travis to come with him because it would be fun. He wanted to tell him he missed him, or he wanted to tell him about the trip. Why did he write this letter?
He missed.
Quickly.
What are you thinking about that?
I'm thinking because Travis he wanted to know if he wanted to come because because he said he haven't if he said he missed him
Did it say anywhere in here, I missed you?
yeah.
Did it?
I missed you though.
Okay, so I told him he missed him. We're talking this through. What else did he tell him?
That's crab.
Told him
What else did he
if
tell
he
him?
wanted to go to
Please back up.
He did? He said he wanted to know if he wanted to go on the trip?
with him.
Did it? Where did it say that?
Okay.
So we know it told him he missed him. Did it tell him that he wanted him to go on the trip with him? Did it say that? Find the evidence. Where does it say that?
Right here.
Everybody had.
Remember him saying that he
Did it? Addison, Sequoia? Are you looking? Does it say anything there about that he wants him to go?
I just saw that it is fun to be
On a trip with them. Who's he talking? What's he talking about? A trip with who?
with his family.
With his family. So is he telling him that he wants him to go? Pretty much he told him he missed him. He told it was a fun trip, but he's telling him all about what happened on his trip, right? Right. All right. So thinking about Travis, we know who Travis is now. He's the friend. We know Mike's the one that went on the trip. So let's go ahead. How would we describe both of them? Let's go to our answers. How would you describe them? Let's look at our answers because I think it's a little tricky on this one. Huh?
I would think.
Look at your choice. Look at your choices. Look at your choices. Look at your choices. What are you thinking? How would we describe these two boys? Would we describe them as, what's our first choice?
Friends.
Friends. Would we describe them, what's our next one?
Brothers.
Brothers. Next one?
Parents.